Here's the question, Dan Byer. Isn't Mike Malone and Calvin Booth getting fired about an hour ago when we're less than 2 weeks from the NBA playoffs tipping off? Doesn't it feel like that's the bigger story?
I think right now, yeah, I think that it's in the rearview mirror. The college season is, and there's a lot to digest. And your background and current employment, I think, would lend that the Houston-Florida game be a topic in the show. But I think that the hot story right now is what happened in Denver.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is crazy. Crazy. Truly crazy what happened. How is it possible? Not that, and I've read all kinds of reports, there was a rift between Mike Malone and Calvin Booth, and the team is losing, so you fire them both. But now, why now? What possibly could have happened that it reached a crescendo and you fire him now? Right? They stopped listening to Mike Malone. Like, oh, okay, again. So they're going to listen to an assistant coach? Granted, by all accounts, David Edelman, big-time assistant, probably going to be a head coach. But you're going to be a rudderless ship for a playoff run? I've never heard of such a thing. Not just a head coach. We've seen head coaches get fired. We've seen head coaches get fired mid-season, sometimes even later in the season. This feels like exceptionally late. But add to it that the general manager gets fired, now I'm left scratching my head saying, did the Nuggets just throw the season? It feels like the answer is yes.
What would be the reason for throwing it? Is like, if that's, do you think that's their goal?
No.
Okay.
No, there's no tanking.
This decision is.
I just think that if they honestly think this is going to somehow propel them to success.
I think they thought, we've lost our last four. We are barely holding on to the fourth spot in the West, and it's not like they may fall to 5. If they continued on the slide, they could be playing a week from, today in a play-in game. Actually, they wouldn't fall that far down, but they'd be playing prior to the playoffs begin because they'd be in the play-in tournament. And so I think that they're thinking, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I believe that their thinking is, let's make a change. We're maybe going to make one in the offseason anyway. Let's do it now and see if this can at least save us and keep us in the top 6.
Well, it's really interesting. But it's not that you fired him. It's not that you fired the GM. It's a little bit that you fired them both, and it's a lot bit that you fired them both now. Right? Therein lies the part that I am left scratching my head. And, how much does Westbrook play a part in it? How much does Jokic has had an unbelievable season. And look, within coaching staff season, within basketball teams, the transfer portal, we know guys are going to transfer with games left to go. We know that coaches are going to move on with games left to go. And what I thought you do is you call somebody and you go, hey, look, you got to the end of the year. We're going to move on, but we want to give you this time to find a job so that we won't have to fire you and it doesn't cause a rift in the middle of the season. Like, we're talking end of the year. End of the year. Just very surprised by the timing.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's funny because I think it was, maybe you were in on the herd last week. I was teaming up with Ryan Hollins, and we were talking about just the scope of the NBA, and this on the heels of what the Memphis Grizzlies did at the time. And I just brought up the point, and this was after the Timberwolves and Nuggets played another crazy game in Denver last week. And I know Jamal Murray is hurt, and I think they're even kind of confused at what's going on with his injury. Michael Malone, now former head coach, said as much within the last 24, 48 hours. He thought it was a day-to-day thing, and now it's not. But it's the point of surrounding your superstar and your best player with everything that they want or need. And that includes the head coach. And it's because the Bucks are the perfect example of it. And as a Bucks fan, coming from that side of it, it just every single move they make is for Giannis or to keep Giannis or to do whatever. And the Nuggets, I think, are now in a spot maybe starting to enter that territory in trying to do what they can do to try to maximize Nikola Jokic, so it's not just one title during his career.
Sure.
And
great point.
That's where I think it's going. I don't think it's ideal, to your point, at this juncture, but if you're about to fall into the play-in tournament and you don't think that Michael Malone is going to be your coach next year, by the way, they made 4 or 5 paragraphs in their statement, short paragraphs, some are shorter sentences, but to announce the relieving of Michael Malone, and then they just had 1 paragraph of Calvin Booth of his dismissal. Calvin Booth's dismissal was very seeming like just, all right, thank you for your contributions. We appreciate what you've done in the 8 years. Thanks for putting the pieces in. See you later. The Michael Malone dismissal was much more in-depth.
Heartfelt.
Yes,
in-depth.
yes.
Yeah, well, here's the dismissal. While the timing of the decision is unfortunate, as Coach Malone helped build the foundation of our now championship-level program, it's a necessary step to allow us to compete at the highest level. Championship-level standards and expectations remain in place for the current season. As we look to the future, we look forward to building the foundations laid by Coach Malone over his record-breaking 10-year career in Denver. Yeah, something had to happen. It got to be way more than like they just hate each other, they didn't like each other. Fine. End of the year, you fire people. To fire somebody with less than 2 weeks left in the season, something happened.
And the only person that would have enough cachet and power to get Michael Malone dismissed
Jokic.
Is Jokic. Yes.
Yep.
And so it begins, if it hasn't already, since it's been 2 years removed, almost 2 years removed from their title of trying to put pieces together. This is now how it begins.
Was Michael Malone put out to pasture? Jokic is a horse guy.
Oh, sure.
Pasture.
I did have.
Thank you. I was waiting for that one. Yes.
I did have someone send along the Nuggets are now post Malone.
Ah. Oh. Ha. Oh, can anybody be in honor of the Masters? Vern's not there on 17, but
Dylan Park Pettiford had that one. Frank Ahita sent it over to me. Post Malone.
Post Malone. Congrats to Billy L., who had the best bracket in the Tractor Supply Fox Sports Radio Bracket Challenge. Billy.